Louisiana Beer Reviews MD 2020 Spiked Punch Sweet Blue Raspberry. 12% alcohol in a pint can, contains alcohol. Now on the back it doesn't give a direct serving size, but it gives an implied serving size. It says sharing is key. Grab 2 glasses of ice, pour and pass one to a friend. Cheers. So they're implying that you should only drink half the can, and they're probably right. I don't know. Oh, here comes the train. Well, they knew I was about to do a review, so they said, hurry, get over there. Malt beverage with natural flavors and certified colors. So it's natural fruit flavor and food coloring. And this is the interesting thing. MD 2020 is part of the wine group, who makes a huge amount of wine, cheap, middle range, and expensive. MD, Mogan David, the regular wine, and then the MD 2020, the flavored. Well, there's one just red grape, not flavored. Most of the MD 2020 line is flavored wine. Now, about 2 or 3 years ago, they had a canned MD 2020 wine series. It was wine. This is beer based. And I bought these at a place called Empire Express on US Highway 90 westbound in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I knew about these, and I saw them. I said, oh yeah. And they were $1.99 a piece. And I looked in the back, it said Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Tapintoyourbeer.com. So I checked on the website. There it was. It's a collaboration between Anheuser-Busch and the wine group. And I don't know why they would want to do 12% flavored beers, but I guess there's a big market for it. So AB wanted to. Their people must have talked to their people, and they worked it out. Dripping. Well, that's my fault. It's popping. There's very little foam, and there's not going to be a head. There's not going to be any lacing. It's a lot of bubble action, and it's a light blue. That's it. Translucent light blue appearance. MD Mogan David 2020. When it originally hit the market in 1968, it was in a 20-ounce bottle, and it was 20% alcohol. The bottle size was changed, and the ABV was dropped to 13. There may still be some MD 2020 at 20%, but not in this market. Anyway, here it is. There are a couple of other video reviews for this. There aren't enough check-ins on Untappd to even give a score, so there's no average. I don't think it's listed on Beer Advocate and Rate Beer. It smells like a Freezy Pop. Blue raspberry Freezy Pop. Apparently this fake flavor of blue raspberry goes back to the 1950s. It may go back even earlier, but there's not a whole lot of definitive evidence on who started it, but we know that people were producing it. And you get icy, those slushy drinks, icy, has this flavor, snowballs, or as they call them up north, snow cones. And but the Freezy Pops, they're liquid. You freeze them and you eat them. Now they got the alcoholic Freezy Pops. I know Sazerac has some. Who knows what they'll come up with next? Well, it's a little lighter blue than most of the blue raspberry flavored drinks I notice. But not that different from Smirnoff Ice Smash. It smells like a fruit flavor. Now it says natural flavors. They can't say natural blue raspberry flavor. That's not actual. It is not an actual fruit, but it could be blueberry extract or dehydrated blueberry. Cast off stuff that they purchased from another company, probably in big shipments, probably in bags. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but it seems plausible. Could be a syrup. The flavor is not as harsh and as jarring as the MD 2020 12% that I've had. The last one was the lemonade strawberry, which was like a pink lemonade, I guess, type thing with natural and artificial flavorings. But that thing just screamed booziness. It was like, oof. It took me about I did drink it over a 2-hour period, so let's say like about 8 ounces every hour. Might have been a 3-hour period. 8 ounces every hour, yeah. My head was in the clouds, but I didn't get sick, and I didn't have any ill after effects. That 14% black, 4 Local Black was a knockout. That was bad. I didn't pace it correctly or something. This one is only 16 ounces, so I'm gonna be all right with it. Well, when the people at the Genesee Brewery in Rochester, New York, came out with the MXD, the mixed, which I saw once in Louisiana, but I haven't seen it around here really. It was more, I think it's more common in Alabama, Florida, but it might get a presence. But maybe they decided, the wine group said, hey, don't let them have all the action. We are from New York. Our grapes are Concord grapes. People know the flavor. They know the blue raspberry flavored wine. Let's do it. And AB say, we're game. High, medium body, nearly heavy. The 4 Local was a straight up heavy body. Unusually drying finish. I know it uses high fructose corn syrup, but I looked at the ingredients list. They had the ingredients list on the website, and it was like, I can't even think of all the ingredients. I have a link below, but it's like water, barley malt, corn syrup, high fructose corn. It was both corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup, natural flavors, certified color. It was like 2 different types of acid, citric and some other 2 types of acid to give it an acidic flavor, fruit flavor. Anyway, you can check it out. I can't memorize all that stuff, but it did use barley malt extract. So they use actual barley malt, extract, which is common even in the Reinheitsgebot German beers, and hop extract. It does contain hops. Do you taste any hop bitterness? No. It tastes like a Freezy Pop or an Icy with 12% alcohol. Do people take Freezy Pops, Icies, and spike them on their own? Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, but they're doing a premix. On the Cyclops scale in sweetness, 5 out of 5 sugar cubes, but it's probably more like 4.5 out of 5 sugar cubes, because if it was really a 5, you probably wouldn't be able to bear it. But it's super sweet. Now the high fructose corn syrup is probably the sweetener part of it. I don't remember any cane syrup listed. And then the corn syrup itself maybe is used as the main fermentable. So that's probably all gone and converted into alcohol. The sugar sweetness coming from the high fructose. This is my guess. I'm not a scientist. Bitterness scale, 0 hop cones out of 100. Honestly, there is no bitterness. This is not created to be that. It's created to be like, I call these things junk beers. Now, I tell people beer is healthy, in my opinion. Well, I'm talking about beers without the coloring and the flavoring and the sugar. This is, no one's going to go say, oh, yeah, eat some Freezy Pops. It's healthy. No, it's a treat. But on the other hand, there's nothing nasty about it or off-putting or disgusting. It's not as jarring as the 4 Local from our friends at Fusion Projects. Housing Projects. No, so Fusion Projects kind of, in a way, pioneered this whole thing. They didn't start it, but they popularized it, I guess. And it goes back to the old wine cooler days, which were wine until 1991 when the government, U.S. government, instituted a tax hike on wine products. So then almost all of those were immediately converted to malt-based because there wasn't a tax increase on barley malt. So it's that same kind of thinking. Oh well, I'll score it. It's a 95. I mean, it's an A. There's a little chalkiness coming on into play now. Is it an ale or lager? Well, that's almost like a meaningless term at this point because they've taken the barley malt and corn and they're distilling it down to like a vodka type substance, clear odorless beer. The flavorings coming from the sugar, in this case high fructose corn syrup, and natural flavors. Much like they do with a blended American whiskey or a blended Scotch whiskey. The flavors coming from the straight bourbon or the single malt Scotch, same type thing. All right. So Lazy Le Bon Temps Relais, a most excellent product. Now people might say, how you gonna call it a junk beer and then give it a 95? It's what they created it to be. It's created to be a freezy, slushy, icy type drink with 12% alcohol. And it achieves that perfectly. Does that mean I would go out and buy these to drink on a regular basis? Absolutely impossible. I would never do that unless I went mad. And so I would not recommend anybody drinking these on a regular basis. It's probably good to go with the company's recommendation of sharing it with a friend. They're saying pour it over ice. I'm not too sure about that. But that's what they're saying. Once again, cocktail flim-flam stuff. So you got to score them as they are, according to the style. Can we hate the style? Sure. I don't like the style. I'll be the first to say I hate it. I hate its whole raison d'etre. But it does exist, so. Y'all go to St. Louis, Missouri, and one of the other breweries that gives tours, and tour the Anheuser-Busch brewery. Maybe they'll be making the MD 2020 Sweet Raspberry when you're there.